Sometimes it can be difficult keeping up with reviews of so many new films and getting them all out on time. In fact, you can say it's quite a project. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a newer Netflix release, The Adam Project. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, or if you were planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my content out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more movie-related content on a near-daily basis. But let's not waste any more time, and let's talk about The Adam Project. This stars Ryan Reynolds as time-traveling fighter pilot Adam Reed. After accidentally crash landing in 2022, he teams up with his 12-year-old self for a mission to save the future. This premiered on Netflix earlier this month, and it's directed by Shawn Levy in his second collaboration with Reynolds after last year's hit Free Guy, and it sees them entering some fairly familiar territory. Not only does this see Ryan Reynolds essentially doing his usual shtick, where he makes wisecracks galore in his usual snarky manner, it's familiar in terms of its aesthetic. This takes on a tone that will feel very reminiscent of 80s Amblin Entertainment films, like E.T., The Goonies, and Back to the Future. It's taking a page out of what's now become a popular trend that kicked off especially with Stranger Things, and it's starting to become something of its own subgenre with a very nostalgic vibe to it. And while some people may find it a bit tiring at this point, I thought this was quite charming. I'm a sucker for films with a nostalgic tone to them, as I love tributes to older cinema or any memorable but no longer as popular styles of filmmaking. And there was a sincerity to this, thanks in part by its mostly larger-than-life, though sentimental approach. I have to say, while Shawn Levy's someone I used to just take or leave, if this and Free Guy are an indication of what his output's going to be like moving forward, I will be looking forward to his future projects, as there's especially a lot of care on display here. And while Reynolds is someone who generally relies on the same bag of tricks, for what it's worth, it's a routine that does work. Once again, he's as charismatic as ever, and he gets in a lot of solid one-liners that keep things consistently entertaining. Though, I also have to give a shout out to Walker Scobell, who plays the young Adam. The younger Adam is portrayed as having those Reynolds mannerisms early on, and not only does Scobell perfectly capture Reynolds' cadence and sense of timing, it doesn't feel like it's just some sort of cheap imitation. There's still a lot of personality in his delivery, and he balances this out with a sense of warmth, unable to wrap his head around how he can become the jaded Reynolds when he gets older. And there's a lot of banter between the two that works exceptionally well, as there is some great chemistry between them. Plus, as the two Adams, both with completely different worldviews, begin to work together or butt heads, it reveals a much more emotionally resonant storyline regarding themes about what you would do if you could change your past, as well as getting a sense of closure. We see this especially when they go back to meet their late father, played by Mark Ruffalo, who becomes the godfather of time travel and had passed away before the present day sequences. Some of these moments are just lovely for the interactions among all three. Plus, when it comes to the comedic bits, Ruffalo acts as a solid straight man to the wisecracking Reynolds and Scobell. And there's a surprisingly gentle approach to these moments that gave the film a nice emotional drive that I really appreciated. There are also some nice moments involving Jennifer Garner as Adam's mom, in what turns into a 13 going on 30 reunion for her and Ruffalo. She has a familiar role of this exacerbated parent who's at odds with her kid over his wild antics, but it further taps into these themes regarding grief and trying to find closure that I found to be really well done. There's especially a great exchange between her and Reynolds really early on, where she doesn't know who he is. That was one of the most touching sequences in the film. That said, while I liked the film, I wouldn't necessarily call it great. Despite being an original world with some decent lore to it, including the rise to power of this villain, played by Catherine Keener in this dystopian world, the film really only scratches the surface of this world. While I appreciate it tries to keep things more character-based and personal, it generally tends to gloss over anything when it comes to world building that it makes it feel a bit incomplete at times. On a similar note, Zoe Saldana, who plays Reynolds' wife, winds up getting severely underutilized. Her character is integral to the plot and serves as a huge motivation for Reynolds' character, but the way they approached her storyline just didn't completely sit right with me. Like, there's a big emotional moment during her first scene, which feels like it gets undermined about 10 minutes later with another major plot point that I won't reveal. And while I understand what they were going for story-wise by making the decisions they made, the execution of this particular dramatic beat felt a little jarring considering how Saldana's scene is handled. I get that you don't want to run the risk of the film going on for too long. I just wish that with this whole lore being built and with 4 writers on this, I just wish that at least one of them trusted this world that they began to build. Because while I like the nostalgic tone and the emotional core it had, this would have given things an even greater sense of wonder and awe. The Adam Project contains a lot of familiar elements, but it manages to have some fun with them. It has a nostalgic vibe to it, akin to 80s Amblin Entertainment films, that actually gives it an endearing feel, with an emotional core regarding themes of finding closure. It can also be quite funny, with Ryan Reynolds doing his usual shtick, but giving us quite a number of amusing moments, especially thanks to his great chemistry with both Walker Scobell and Mark Ruffalo. I would have liked had it explored its sci-fi elements a little more in depth, but whatever it managed to touch on was still very entertaining. The Adam Project gets a 7.5 out of 10. So, let me know, did you see The Adam Project, or are you planning to see it, and what are your thoughts? Is it one of your new favorite Shawn Levy movies? Is it one of your new favorite Ryan Reynolds movies? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.